What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dana White and UFC reveal huge news. This week, UFC CEO Dana White teased a massive announcement that many fans expected to be news regarding UFC 300. When White then went live, however, many were disappointed that he was announcing a giveaway for a Tesla Cybertruck. In the wake of the situation, White and the UFC dropped some big news, indicating that The Ultimate Fighter will return in June, with featherweights and middleweights competing throughout the 32nd season of the show. Of course, with that, there's been quite a bit of speculation regarding who the coaches for the season could be. Last season, for example, The Ultimate Fighter Season 31 saw lightweights and bantamweights compete, with Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler coaching the season. Given that, it's expected that a pair of middleweight or a featherweight fighters could coach this season. According to a report from MMA Fighting, the UFC won't be doing tryouts like they used to during early seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. Instead, there will be a virtual selection process that's expected to take place in January. After last season struggled in the ratings, many fans are wondering how the UFC will look to build momentum and make the series a hit once more. Stay tuned for updates as they become available. Next up, let's take a look at Leon Edwards sends message to Colby Covington. As Joe Rogan recently stated on the Joe Rogan Experience, Leon Edwards has taken his game to the next level in the wake of his highlight reel knockout win over Kamaru Usman. When the two then met inside the octagon for their highly anticipated trilogy fight, Edwards was able to fend off the wrestling of the former pound-for-pound kingpin, while also landing shots on the feet, putting on a dominant display that cemented him as the best welterweight in the world. Heading into UFC 296, Edwards has made it clear that his opponent, Colby Covington, is going to be in for a rude awakening when the two meet in Las Vegas. During a recent interview with UFC Europe, Edwards put the challenger on notice.
I've been the active one. I'm the younger one. He hasn't beat no one under the age of 35, 36 since, I don't know, so if you're judging his wins off Robbie and Woodley and Masvidal, he's in for a total shock what's going to happen in front of him. I think guys is a clown, but I am focused on going out there, taking him out, lifting him about for the second time, just carrying on my journey. He just want another guy that's in my way, and I've got to go out and take him out,
Despite his confidence, the odds for the fight are nearly even. Per DraftKings Sportsbook, Edwards is sitting as a slight -148 favorite to Covington's status as a +124 underdog. With the former interim champ coming off a long hiatus, there's no telling how things turn out. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Strickland sends warning to Ian Garry after confrontation. After calling out Ian Garry's wife for what he believes to be predatory behavior throughout their relationship, middleweight champion Strickland ended up having a face-to-face with the undefeated Irish prospect at the UFC PI, which he detailed for fans in one of his popular videos from his car.
Awkward, man, awkward. He looked at me hard, security had to escort us around. Awkward shit, right? I'm laughing my ass off. I don't want to fight you, bro. I'm happy for your success. I'm happy for you. But if you look at me hard and you're feeling some kind of way, if you're feeling some kind of way that you need to get this handled, and you want to look at me hard, and that's what you want, slide up in the DMs, bro. I don't want it, but if that's what you want, you know where to find me, man.
In the wake of the situation, Strickland caught up with the Extreme Couture MMA channel to discuss things, sending a warning to Garry.
Ian, the cold man. He's just a young kid, bro, that never got good pussy. And he met this succubus of a demon, and all of a sudden probably sucked him off all the porn he watched as a kid. And he got the soul sucked out of him. Here's the thing, guys. You gotta be careful about that good. That good will come. It'll make you a slave. Be careful about the good. It's usually bad. I don't hate the guy. I feel bad for him. You don't understand, dude. This man's a victim.
So far, no response yet from Garry. However, the streaking contender likely has his focus on his upcoming fight with Vicente Luque at UFC 296. After the bout, however, things could heat up, especially given that Garry floats around gyms. Next, let's take a look at UFC Fight Updates. Heading into an action-packed weekend of fights at the Apex, let's take a look at some UFC Fight Updates. Starting with last-minute update to UFC 296, after Giga Chikadze withdrew from his scheduled bout with Josh Emmett. Although Chikadze revealed that he was hoping the bout could get rescheduled, Emmett will now fight Bryce Mitchell, who's eager to capitalize on a recent win over Dan Ige back in September. Coincidentally, today's UFC Fight Updates segment also includes a bout announcement for Ige, who has reportedly been booked to fight Lerone Murphy at UFC Vegas 86 on February 10th. The bout will see Ige look to bounce back from the previously mentioned loss to Bryce Mitchell, while Murphy looks to keep his undefeated record intact after rattling off 2 straight victories this year. Last but certainly not least, reports have indicated that Caitlin Chukagian and Macy Barber will fight at UFC 299 on March 9th. The fight will see Chukagian look to bounce back after having a 4-fight win streak snapped by Manon Fior back at UFC 288, while Barber will be looking to build on a 5-fight win streak that saw her rattle off 2 wins in 2023. Next, let's take a look at Jan Blachowicz breaks silence on horrible news. Unfortunate news surfaced this week indicating that former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz had been forced out of his scheduled rematch with Alexander Rakic at UFC 297. While details were initially scarce, it's since been revealed that Blachowicz suffered a shoulder injury in preparation for the bout. Despite attempting to work through the injury, he has been forced to withdraw. The situation is certainly a bump in the road for Rakic, who will be looking to return after a year and a half off. Blachowicz posted a statement about his withdrawal on Instagram, writing, in part, "It wasn't supposed to be this way. It's hard to express how I feel because it's a mixture of anger and sadness. Withdrawing from a fight due to injury is one of the most difficult decisions a fighter can make. However, sometimes there is no other option, especially when you're competing in the top 5 and want to put on a show at the highest possible level. So far, it's remained unclear how the UFC plans to handle things. However, Rakic may have booked his own replacement bout after Blachowicz's withdrawal." Next, let's take a look at Jiri Prochazka confirms his next UFC fight. In the wake of Jan Blachowicz's withdrawal from UFC 297, Alexander Rakic took it upon himself to call out Jiri Prochazka. With the Czech samurai fresh off a loss to Alex Pereira and his highly anticipated return to the octagon, a fight between he and Rakic seems to make quite a bit of sense in the wake of Blachowicz's withdrawal. In response to the call-out, Prochazka took to social media, accepting the challenge, while indicating that he'd also need more time to prepare, writing, "I'm in, but the earliest time I can be in the octagon is February/March. Except?" With the UFC 298 event set to take place in February, Rakic was quick to respond, tagging Mick Maynard and Dana White in his response while writing, "Yes, let's do February 17th in Anaheim." The UFC 298 card is expected to be headlined by Alexander Volkanovski and Ilia Topuria. However, the promotion still has to round out the remainder of the card. With the star power of Prochazka and the highly anticipated return of Rakic, a bout between the two would certainly be a big addition to the pay-per-view card. With Alex Pereira expected to defend the light heavyweight title against Jamal Hill when the former champ is ready to return, a clash between Rakic and Prochazka could set the winner up for a title eliminator with the winner of the upcoming Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker rematch. Colby Covington calls out Leon Edwards for cheating. In a recent interview with All Out Fighting, Colby went off on Leon, calling him low IQ, and went off on how he's a bigger cheater than Kamaru Usman. Here's what Colby had to say.
What's his grade level? Like, what's his level of education? Because I swear, that guy's a mumbling, fumbling. He's literally always drooling on himself. So that guy is just a waste of chromosomes and a waste of space. So all I want from the journalists out there, please dive into Leon Scott's IQ. Like, what is his level of education? Did he graduate middle school? Did he even get through elementary school? Because the guy's dumber than a box of rocks. And as a fighter, Leon Scott is the biggest cheater the sport's ever known. I thought Marty Usman was the cheater. Man, this guy makes Marty look like a freaking saint. So Leon is a cheater. He's poking people in the eye. He's kicking people in the nuts. He's grabbing the fence. I mean, the guy's the biggest cheater the sport's ever seen. And, you know, that's the only way I was able to prepare for him, is just prepare for all the cheating he's going to do.
Joe Rogan discusses Conor McGregor fighting after steroids. Since Conor McGregor's brutal injury in his last Octagon appearance, the former two-division champ has been accused of using banned substances in order to rehab his leg. Although nothing has ever been proven and the talk is merely speculation, it's created quite a stir among the MMA community. While some feel as though McGregor should be able to return so long as he passes the necessary tests, others feel as though it's unfair to allow him to return if he's been using banned substances and performance-enhancing drugs during his hiatus. During a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, the longtime UFC commentator shared his thoughts on the situation.
If you give someone an exemption, you let them get out of the pool, and they're taking some hardcore steroids to heal their shin break, how much gain do you maintain from that improvement in your performance? Because it's not zero.
As Rogan's guest went on to explain, it isn't that a fighter using PEDs is able to bench press more or run further. There's more indirect benefits that can provide an advantage.
Because a lot of people overlook the recovery capacity enhancing component. So it's like if you're able to, it's not just about how much muscle you've gained, how many more hours were you able to train relative to your competition because of this.
Leading up to his return, it sounds as though McGregor will be subjected to the full 6 months of testing despite the UFC moving away from USADA in the new year. The big question, of course, is whether McGregor's return will happen at UFC 300 or whether the promotion will keep him on the shelf until the summer. Despite Ariel Helwani suggesting in the past that the event sells itself given the historical significance, and as a result the UFC could be looking to use McGregor's star power to sell out another event, Rogan theorized that an event as big as UFC 300 needs McGregor. With the MMA community being nearly unanimous in their desire for McGregor to compete at UFC 300, it sounds as though the ball is in the UFC's court. Joe Rogan demands the UFC make a rule change after it split from USADA. According to Joe, he would like to see less rules for injury recovery now that USADA isn't part of the UFC. Here's what Rogan had to say.
What do you think about USADA getting replaced?
I don't know exactly what the new protocol is going to be, but I have heard that they're not going to let him take PPC 157, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
So they're adhering to like the WADA banned substance list, presumably.
Allegedly, but it could be, like a little wink, a little nod. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Similar, but with, from what I understand, more scrutinous testing on some of the endogenous bioidenticals. So like EPO, I think Nowitzki said they're going to up their frequency of testing. It's really weird how they justify certain compounds that can be in and out of testing, because it's like you could abuse the kind of amphetamines out of competition, but then you can't use BPC. How does that make any sense?
Doesn't make any sense. It's all bizarre. I think in a perfect world, professional athletes would utilize everything possible to get the best possible performance. Again, my only concern would be young people ruining their endocrine system. And then the question is going to be like, what kind of testing protocol are they going to use? Is it going to be random? Is it going to be something you can game? I would imagine it's going to be a little more lax, and I would support that. I certainly support guys taking things to recover from injuries like Conor did with his leg injury. 100%. No question about it. I'm 100% all in on that. That's the only way. No one comes back from that. No one has ever come back from that catastrophic leg break. The shin break, not a single athlete has come back from it and performed at the same level.
Top comments. Nobody remembers Dustin was on his way to a 10-8 round over Conor. No way Conor was going to win anyways. The leg break was the best scenario for Conor in that fight. Moral of the story, don't send corporately sensitive conversations via electronic communication. Talk in person. The more I listen to the lawsuit, the more I'm eager for them to pay their fair share and hopefully hold them accountable. Cough, cough, Dana White. It's effed up to still hear all the detracting comments about Leon. Damn it, he's the real deal. He's so much class and yet people still talk so much smack about him. Go on, Rocky. I'm a Colby fan also, so it's a difficult fight for me to call. But no need to keep up the BS 2020 Leon narrative. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.